On October 21st, 2021, Alec Baldwin was filming a Western movie called Rust in Bonanza Creek, New Mexico. Baldwin was rehearsing a scene with director Joel Souza and cinematographer Hannah Gutierrez. Baldwin was seated in a church practicing a cross draw with a .45 caliber revolver. As Baldwin practiced pulling the weapon from the left side of his body with his right arm, the gun discharged. The bullet struck Hannah Gutierrez and Joel Souza. Souza survived, but Hutchins did not. An investigation into what was happening on the set revealed some shocking circumstances. Investigators say they found 6 live rounds on the set, including some in a photo with the woman in charge of gun safety, 24-year-old armorer Hannah Gutierrez. Additional live rounds were found in a box marked dummy rounds. Meanwhile, Alec Baldwin insists his finger was not on the trigger. Tonight, we take a closer look at the actions and testimony of another crew member who had access to the guns. What was her role in this tragedy? And why did she throw away some of the ammo? All this as we continue to investigate the Baldwin movie shooting death of Hannah Gutierrez. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. Another week of crucial testimony in the case of Hannah Gutierrez. This is an involuntary manslaughter case, but you know, there's something I need to talk about that we usually see in a murder case. And what I'm talking about is a defense that you see many times. Some other dude did it, right? Sometimes there's a defense, you don't have the evidence to prove the case. But sometimes, like in the Delphi murder case, for instance, you have defense attorneys who argue in court and bring out evidence through cross-examination that someone else did it. The person in court at the defendant's table, no, they didn't do it. It was somebody else who did it, some other dude. Which makes sense for a murder case because murders are done on purpose. Like sometimes it's premeditated and someone else, you know, causes that death purposely, intentionally, with criminal intent. But those aren't the charges here. I'll give you some examples of some other dude did it. You may recall, and sometimes it's a specific person, sometimes it's someone who's non-specific, like in the Alec Murdaugh trial. Through their expert, basically it was someone who was like 5'2" that did it. I mean, you remember that testimony, it was kind of ridiculous, but it was what it was. And they were saying, based on the forensics here, somebody else did it because Alec Murdaugh, well, he's just, you know, he's a big dude. He's not like this little 5 foot, and the person who did it had to be tiny. Had to be a tiny shooter. Some other dude did it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about the case down in Orange County, Florida, involving the death of Kaylee Marie. And you remember there was like, oh yeah, Zanny did it. No. Roy Kronk, the meter reader, did it. No, it was George that did it. I mean, this was the ultimate some other dude did it defense. They were just pointing the finger pre-trial and then during the trial all over the place until they found a place where maybe, just maybe, it would stick a little bit with the jury. And again, that's a classic defense. Kaylee Marie was dead. She was dumped in the woods. Somebody was responsible for that. Well, it wasn't the defendant, no. No, it was Zanny. No. It was Roy Kronk. No. It was George. Grandpa George did it. And, you know, sometimes it works. Sometimes it actually works. So in this trial of Hannah Gutierrez, involuntary manslaughter, which means it's like negligence, criminal negligence, recklessness, not like anyone intended for Hannah Gutierrez to die. Will they blame someone else? Will they blame Sarah, the prop manager? Will they? Is that going to be the defense here? Let's take a look because it was a big day in court.
Did you see Ms. Gutierrez enter the church with the firearm?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't aware of her coming in or leaving.
Do you have any idea who provided Mr. Baldwin his revolver for the scene?
No, I mean, just beyond in a general sense about who's supposed to hand it off, but no, I didn't see anybody give it to him. I know I got up behind her just to try to see on the monitor, and there was an incredibly loud bang that was not like the half and quarter loads you hear on a set. It felt like somebody had taken a baseball bat to my shoulder. I remember that distinctly. They kept talking about this bullet, and it could not compute for me. I just kept saying, you don't understand. No, this was a movie set. That's not possible. You don't get it. And they kept saying, no, it is. And I just keep insisting, you don't understand, because this is not possible. It's just not possible that there's a live round. It just can't. And then they eventually maybe grew tired of my protesting about it, because they showed me the x-ray of my back, and there was a very large bullet in it.
Did you ever take notice of guns and ammunition being left unattended on set?
I did.
Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you saw with regard to guns and ammunition being left unattended?
I seen guns and ammunition on a small cart that was left on the set periodically.
When a scene would be over, she would not immediately collect the firearms from the actors.
Yes.
Did that stand out to you?
Yes.
Why?
Every other show I'd been on previous to that, the armor would hand the gun right before the scene and take it away right after. So there would be moments on the set, and one that I can truly recollect was she took the gun from Alec, and to check to see if the gun was clean, which there's a process that armors do. And
what caught your eye about the way that Ms. Gutierrez did those barrel checks?
When she looked, the cylinder was closed.
And so in your experience, when she looks and the cylinder is closed, what would she be able to see?
Nothing.
I would notice our armorer hand the guns over to the actors, sometimes checking them, sometimes not. Generally, once the scene is over, you would remove the weapon. The armorer would remove the weapon from the actor and re-secure it until it is needed again. On Rust, that did not happen a good majority of the time. The actor still remained in possession of the weapon, whether it was in their holster or in their hands.
Did you testify that you saw Ms. Gutierrez provide actors with weapons without conducting a safety check?
That is correct.
Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft, who joins us live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, outside the courthouse, and was inside the courtroom as always. All right, Kelly, let's start with how the day started, which is the cross-examination of Sarah Zachary. How did that go?
And Vinny, you and I talked about this last night. I was really waiting to hear how Jason Pohl's defense counsel in this case was going to cross-examine Sarah Zachary, the props master in this case, on the stand. And of course, he asked her about throwing away those dummy rounds. And he asked her many other things as well. But let's play that bit of testimony from her, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Wouldn't you think that the police would want to see everything on set?
Yes.
So when you throw away rounds that they may have wanted to see, don't you understand that to be an issue?
No, because again, it wasn't the rounds in question.
But that isn't your determination, right, to determine what's in question. That is the law enforcement's determination, correct?
Okay.
And of course, that was a good follow-up, Vinny. It's law enforcement's determination as to what's important in a case, not yours, Miss Sarah Zachary. He also asked her about her communications with Alec Baldwin. And what was interesting is they didn't even have any communications before the shooting took place, but then afterwards they were speaking quite a bit. And Sarah Zachary said that we were trying to, or I was making sure that I had all the facts straight. So I thought that was really interesting. Noticed some jurors taking notes during that part of her testimony. And also Jason Bowles asked her about an emoji that was sent to her by Seth Kenny, who was one of the suppliers of ammunition on the set of Rust, and we expect to hear from him on Monday. And Jason Bowles asked her what an emoji with a hand over the mouth means. And he said to her, he said, "Doesn't it mean keep your mouth shut?" And she said that that was not her interpretation of that emoji. But I think that a lot of jurors were thinking, well, maybe that could be the interpretation and what was meant by that emoji. But a lot of people I talked with out here said that it can also mean that you're embarrassed by something. So who knows exactly what that meant when he sent it to her, but it was important to get out there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the you're embarrassed or the shh, don't talk. All right. Wow. So we're going to talk more about Sarah Zachary. We're going to bring in a couple guests in just a little bit, but important the way they sort of went after her today and talking about the tension in the relationship as well. Let's talk about Joel Souza, because he's one of the survivors of this, right? The one bullet, but it struck two people. Joel Souza is the one who survived, and he testified today.
He did. Another big witness for the state, Vinny, the director of the movie Rust. And he explained how he got behind Helena Hutchins to try to look in the camera to see about this shot that they were going to do. And then, of course, that gun went off, or Alec pulled the trigger, even though he said that he did not do so. So he talked about those moments, how he felt like he was hit by a baseball bat, how he was in disbelief that live ammunition was on a movie set. And he was explaining today during his testimony that that just doesn't happen. Live ammunition is not on a movie set. And then he talked about seeing the defendant in this case, Hannah Gutierrez, moments after that shot. Let's listen to some of his testimony.
Do you recall, Mr. Souza, at any point in time during that general time after the gun went off, having any kind of an interaction with Ms. Gutierrez?
I remember at one point looking up and her standing there with another person or a few other people, and she looked distraught. And I remember her saying, I'm sorry, Joel," and I remember somebody just screaming at her, and they just ushered her out.
And on cross-examination, Jason Bowles asked him about did he have any issues with the defendant's work in this case, and he said no. He was even asked about sending her a text message commending her on her good work, and he said, yes, I didn't really have a problem with her work. And also, remember, Vinny, we heard David Halls. He said that on the stand yesterday as well.
It's a little disconnect going on here, because we're hearing, normal procedures not being followed. We're hearing Souza is okay, Halls is okay. I'm wondering how much experience Souza and Halls have with deadly weapons on the set of movies. I don't know what kind of movies they've done in the past or television shows, but it's from everyone I've talked to, it just seems like this is like outrageous what is going on here, but we'll see. We shall see. Now, let's talk about some more testimony from the movie set EMT who was there that day. And I guess that must be normal also to keep some sort of first aid type of person on set, and they testified today.
Yes, and so she was the EMT. She said there were about 75 people that were on set. And talk about outrageous behavior. That's how she described the defendant's demeanor and her behavior as an armorer on the movie set of Rust. And then on cross-examination, defense counsel was asking her about her civil lawsuit against the prop master, Sarah Zachary. So let's listen to some of her testimony.
Is it true that you have filed a lawsuit against David Halls, PDQ, Seth Kinney, and Sarah Zachary, and Hannah Gutierrez?
Yes, it is true.
Among others, right?
Correct.
And in that lawsuit, you claim that you've been traumatized by the incident, right?
Absolutely.
And you are actually seeking money damages in that lawsuit for extreme emotional distress?
That is correct.
Did you in fact obtain a civil judgment against Sarah Zachary in that lawsuit for a sum of money?
It has been entered into judgment, yes.
And your case against Ms. Gutierrez, that's still pending, right?
That is correct.
Do you believe that your testimony here today is going to help you in your civil case against her?
I'm not here for my civil case. I'm here for this case.
I understand what you're here for, ma'am, but do you believe that your testimony here is going to help you in that case?
I'm not thinking about that case. I'm thinking about the fact that had our armorer or our first AD done their jobs, we would not be here. A woman would not be dead. A mother would not be gone.
And Vinny, as I was sitting in the courtroom when defense counsel asked that last question, I thought, oh no. And the EMT then said that last statement, which of course the jurors really picked up on, saying that had the defendant done her job, we wouldn't be here. But of course, she wanted to get out there that she had the civil lawsuit against Sarah Zachary, which of course is important. And when you notice the testimony and the witnesses that have testified so far, a lot of them that have the civil lawsuits are the ones that are saying that Hannah Gutierrez performed poorly on the movie set of Rust. But then, of course, as we just mentioned, David Halls and Joel Souza said that her performance was fine.
Yeah, again, it's a little unusual. I wouldn't normally expect an EMT worker whose job it is to respond to traumatic situations when things go wrong to be traumatized by doing that particular job. I get it, and she appears traumatized. I'm not saying, I'm just surprised that someone who gets into that line of work would be, you have to expect that. Like if you're an EMT work, like you jump into action when things go wrong, and things obviously went very, very wrong here. Wow, that's fascinating. The dynamic between the personalities now that we're seeing play out here. How about any other witnesses today?
There were several other witnesses today. Someone from the Santa Fe Inn, this is the hotel where the defendant in this case, she stayed and struck up a friendship with the person, the gentleman, Mr. Chacon, who worked at the front desk. And he would go to her hotel room, and he was asked during his direct examination if he ever noticed live ammunition or just ammunition in Hannah's room, because he did testify that he wouldn't be able to tell if it was a dummy round. And he did say that he noticed some ammunition inside the defendant's room. Also, one of the stuntmen, he was on the stand today, and also a script supervisor rather, and she was talking about, again, that she thought Hannah's performance as the armorer was just unacceptable in her duties. And Vinny, we also talked with some of Helena Hutchins' friends. Grace Wong, our producer, got a chance to catch up with them after court today. They have been here supporting Helena Hutchins throughout this. Yesterday I mentioned one was wearing her purple hat, another wearing her black Nirvana t-shirt. Let's listen to what they had to say.
I guess I didn't fully realize that nobody had come here for Helena and, representing her friends or family. And so until you mentioned it to me, and that really was very startling. And we came here because we're working on a documentary about her life, and we wanted to witness the trial. And then suddenly I realized we were on both sides. We were somewhat media, but we're also really representing people who love her deeply and want to show our support for her and her family.
And it was really nice to get a chance to talk with them, and they are going to be heading back home after this trial. But Grace talked with them, and they had a lot to say about Helena and her work and how great of a cinematographer that she was. And Joel Souza mentioned that as well. And then it was a really hard time in court today when he talked about looking over at Helena Hutchins and saying he noticed the biggest brown eyes that he had ever seen. This was immediately after she had been shot. So that was kind of hard to listen to say the least, Vinny.
Just a super short follow-up because we're out of time. Is her family there? Is anyone from her family at this trial?
We haven't seen anyone from her family, Vinny, no.
Wow. Okay. Kelly Craft in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Thank you so much. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to take a closer look at Sarah Zachary and what she did and how that could impact this case. Plus, coming up next hour. In Canton, Massachusetts, Karen Reed has been accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. But she says she was framed. And local YouTube blogger Aidan Kearney, known as Turtle Boy, has organized protests to support Reed. And now he's been charged with witness intimidation and will join us live tonight.
Free Karen Reed! Love you. Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed!
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan.
In every story, in every trial, every case, there's at least two sides to it.
To dive into the latest.
Oh my God.
And breaking true crime stories.
This was a very targeted, very personal attack.
Inside.
My whole life depends on it.
And outside of the courtroom.
She's a psychopath.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Premieres Saturday morning, 10/9 Central, only on Court TV.
Now, yesterday you said that you had thrown away the rounds in a state of shock and panic. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Now, did you previously state that you had thrown them away because you had done that before?
That I have thrown away dummies before.
Okay, so in your pretrial interview, you mentioned that part of the reason you threw those away was that you had done that before after scenes, correct?
Sometimes, yes, if I didn't need them.
So, would you agree with me? You've given two explanations for why you threw away the rounds, in a shock and panic, and that you had previously done something like that, throwing away rounds. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
That's Sarah Zachary. She's the prop master. She has that position, and then Hannah Gutierrez seems to be her assistant. But then Hannah Gutierrez is the armorer, and it seems that Sarah Zachary is her assistant armorer. It's a bizarre sort of relationship on the set of this movie. But she appears to be the one that the defense is going after. And one of the reasons here, she doesn't look good, right? Throwing away ammo after there's a shooting on the set. Like, what's going on here? Take a listen.
In reality, what you did is you threw away rounds from two revolvers. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was right. That was after the shooting, correct?
Yes.
Now, after the shooting, do you recall how many minutes went by, just roughly, before you threw away those rounds?
I don't recall.
In that time frame, you also had a conversation with Seth Kenny, correct?
Yes.
And on that conversation, you had texted him previously before that and said emergency?
After the incident, yes.
How long did that phone call last?
As I said yesterday, possibly 30 seconds, a minute.
So then in that time frame, you then throw rounds away from the two revolvers that you had previously loaded, right?
I believe so, yes.
So the two revolvers that you loaded, again, were the Jensen Ackles revolver, right? Mm-hmm. And then this Sven?
Swen.
Swen. How do you say his name?
Swen.
Okay, Swen. So those two revolvers, you threw the rounds away from.
Yes.
And you threw them in a trash can.
Correct.
Now, you didn't tell anybody at the scene that you had thrown those away, right?
I didn't tell anyone, but it was in a public place. If someone saw me, then yeah.
Well, you didn't want to let anybody know that, did you?
They weren't the rounds in question, so I didn't think it mattered, and I had honestly forgotten.
Well, you knew that somebody had been shot, at least one person had been shot, correct?
Correct.
You knew that 911 had been called, is that right?
I didn't hear anybody call 911, but I had assumed.
And you would have assumed that the police would have to respond to a shooting, correct?
Sure.
Wow, that doesn't look good. Let's bring in our guests. Joining me in Los Angeles, California, prop master, armorer, and the author of Prop Gun Safety for Film and TV, Dutch Merrick is with us, and in New Mexico, defense attorney Gary Mitchell. Thank you both for being here. Dutch, your reaction here. The prop master, there's a shooting, like with a live round on the set, and all of a sudden she's calling up the ammo supplier and throwing ammo away in the garbage. What is this?
When I first heard that, I was absolutely gobsmacked. First of all, her first call is to the guy that provided the guns and ammo, and then she immediately runs over and throws away dummy rounds. Dummy rounds are an asset. You either rent them from a company and you borrow them for the period of the film, and if they disappear, you have to pay for them through loss and damage, or you buy them for the show. But either way, they're a production asset, and no one would ever think to throw away a production asset. So the thought that whether she had done it in the past or not is irrelevant. She's throwing away bullets, whether they're dummies or whatever they are, immediately after someone being shot, was this huge red flag for me. And then she went to the prop cart and took some other materials off the prop cart and took them over to the prop truck. So she's moving things about, scurrying around the set immediately after having talked to her friend, Seth Kenney, which it just raises all sorts of alarms to me when I read that.
Oh, that now I know why this investigation took so long to try to figure out what's going on this set with actions like this. Gary Mitchell, I want you to take a listen to some more testimony from Sarah Zachary. So we've got her, right, throwing stuff away after making this phone call. Now take a listen to another phone call that she gets from Alec Baldwin's assistant.
Did you have Mr. Baldwin's cell phone number before the shooting?
No.
Did you ever text him before the shooting?
No.
Do you recall that you did text him after the shooting?
Yes.
And how did you get Mr. Baldwin's number?
His assistant had personally contacted me because I was in contact with him while we were shooting, and he had requested to talk to me.
Okay, and so after the shooting, you and Mr. Baldwin, do you talk on the phone also?
Yes.
And you also text?
A couple times.
Do you recall making the statement on October 31st, 2021, that Alec called me and I'm trying to make sure I keep my facts straight?
Yes.
And do you recall you made that statement to Seth Kenney?
Yes.
How many calls and how many calls, let's start with that, did you have with Alec Baldwin after the shooting?
Maybe 3.
And did you discuss the facts of what happened with him?
It was more theorizing because we both didn't know what happened. He mainly would call and ask questions that I didn't have answers to.
He was asking questions about the events and what might have happened, right?
Correct.
Do you recall making the statement that you had talked to Alec and he's having a difficult time recalling things like most of us, but he thinks that Dave handed him the gun?
I do.
And you recall making that with Seth Kenney?
Yes.
Okay, Gary Mitchell. So here, Alec is remembering but thinks Dave handed him the gun. All the testimony we're hearing now from everyone is that Hannah handed him the gun. That doesn't sound right. Keep my facts straight? Who has to keep their facts straight? Gary, what does this mean about what happened here? And what does it mean for Alec Baldwin? What does it mean for Hannah Gutierrez?
Well, it's good for Hannah. It's not so good for this witness, who should probably have had legal counsel, because I would never have allowed her to testify to that. That's about as close to tampering with evidence as you're going to
I think
get
she's got immunity, Gary. She's got immunity.
Well, she's wise. But let me point out something. Lawyers always take a look at the big picture here. And there's 2 things this jury's going to hear about in closing arguments and in jury instructions from the court. One, that Ms. Gutierrez had to know about the danger involved. This kind of evidence that in the cross-examination that we just heard take place is pretty clear that she didn't know what was going on with this particular witness. And then Ms. Gutierrez has to act with willful disregard. I say all that because keep in mind where you're headed with this case. And so now we've got somebody that, one, tampers with something certainly police would want to look at and firearms experts would want to look at. And then second, we've got somebody that it's pretty easy to point out a conspiracy here between others on the set to kind of try to point to somebody else other than the critical actor in this particular drama.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's take a listen to more testimony from Sarah Zachary. Here she is, and this is really about her relationship with Hannah Gutierrez. Like I said, they have this strange structure of their relationships. Let's listen.
At one point, there was a negligent discharge on set we've heard about, and that involved you handling a firearm, is that right?
Yes.
And again, you were trying to let the hammer down, and you had your finger on the trigger, and then it went off, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was with one of the revolvers?
Correct.
After that, didn't you have a disagreement with Miss Gutierrez-Reed?
A small one, yes.
Did you thereafter have discussions with people about wanting to fire Hannah?
I didn't want to fire her. I had my disagreements with her, but I never actually fired her or wanted to.
Okay, you said you didn't want to fire her?
No.
Do you recall being interviewed on November 2nd, 2023 in this case?
Yes.
And you were asked the question, okay, did you want to fire her? Your answer is yes, and that's on page 19, 2 to 3. Did you want to fire her? You said yes.
Okay.
Do you recall saying that?
I do.
Okay, so is it true then that you wanted to fire her?
From props, yes.
During the time that you worked with Ms. Gutierrez as her supervisor in props, did she call you a
Yes.
Was it around that time that you decided you might want to fire her?
No, it was just overall.
Okay, Dutch, quickly, we just have a short amount of time. This relationship, how bizarre is it to have someone be an assistant prop person, but the head armorer, and then the head prop person be the assistant armorer? It seems like that's what the relationship was here.
Yeah, they hired a part-time armorer to be a part-time prop person. Doesn't make much sense at all. If you have a big enough show, you hire an armorer, and that's all they focus on is that one task, that one responsibility, handling the guns. So her, being new to it in general and dancing back and forth between two roles, again, it's corner cutting writ large. They didn't have enough staff. They gave her two tasks that she wasn't cut out for. It's not unusual for a prop master to run the guns on a show that has a few guns. It's not really that big a deal. But once you have a Western or a show that's based around guns, you have one person full-time to do just that.
Yeah, and apparently what we heard is that she was also rolling cowboy cigarettes. That was one of her jobs on the set. Not just making the gun safe, but you got to roll those cowboy cigarettes. All right, Dutch and Gary are staying with us. When we come back, we'll take a look at the ammunition, the ammo on this set. From my perspective, it just seems like it's all over the place.
I seen guns and ammunition on a small cart that was left on the set periodically.
And when you say periodically, how frequently do you think you saw guns and ammunition left unattended on that cart?
Most days that we had guns.
In your experience with armorers on movie sets, did that seem unusual to you?
Yes.
Unattended ammos and guns on this cart on the set, not unusual, apparently, according to this witness. Dutch Merrick, Gary Mitchell still with us. Gary, what do you think about that? Unattended. What do you think the jury will take away from that? Negligence by Hannah Gutierrez or an opportunity for sabotage by someone else?
Well, I don't know about the opportunity for sabotage, but if you can transfer negligence to everybody else that was around, we're not talking about a bunch of little kids here. We're talking about adults that ought to know better. And we're talking about producers and directors that ought to know better. I mean, it's shoddy at best. But the theory may be from the defense that if we can show that everybody else was also at fault and we had Ms. Gutierrez having to perform 3 or 4 different roles, and this is the way they told her to do it and she's new at it, why would she think any differently? I mean, and keep in mind that we have a female, and I know your viewers may think this wrong, but we have a female that's doing this. We don't have some tough old cop or a person that's been around firearms all their lives handling this. So a young person is going to be more apt to having to listen to these older adults. And if that's the way they wanted it and they're demanding it, that it's sort of an interesting tactic.
All right, why don't you take a listen to some more testimony here, Dutch. And here again, it's about, we hear about the guns and the ammo in the cart, and let's hear where else these things were found.
Did you ever take note of how Ms. Gutierrez would transfer ammunition from boxes to her fanny pack?
Yes, there was one occasion that I did see that.
Can you describe what you saw for the jury?
So there would be the boxes that had a styrofoam with the ammunition inside of it. And there were times I would see her take, or this one time, I saw her take the box and kind of tip it a little bit and use her fingers to put some in, and then hand it back, I believe, to Ms. Zachary, and get another box and do the same thing, put more in, put it back, get another box, put more in, put it back. So we're mixing multiple rounds inside different, and again, I don't know what they were, but mixing different rounds for different weapons. There were some short ones, some long ones.
So during this instance where you saw Ms. Gutierrez load the fanny pack directly from the boxes, if you recall, would she take the time to check every round to make sure that it was inert?
No.
When you were in her hotel room, did you ever take notice of any boxes of ammunition?
Yes. I saw what looked like maybe a couple of rifle rounds, maybe shotgun shells, maybe one pistol round.
Did you also see boxes of ammunition in the room?
Yes.
All right, Dutch. So you've got the cart unattended at times. You've got she's keeping, it seems, the ammo in a fanny pack, Hannah Gutierrez is, from different boxes. And then back at the hotel room with a guy she met who spent some time with her, he's seeing loose rounds and boxes in the hotel room. What are your thoughts about all that?
Well, we'll start at the hotel room. I listened to that testimony, and that was a couple of weeks of prep. It was before they were filming, so they may not have even had a prop truck yet. So it's not unusual to have some materials in your hotel room if you're working on location. I'm not quite as worried about that. But everything else about this just screams student film. And even as they talk to each witness, other crew members trying to ask them what Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's performance was, each of these people reveal that they're all relatively new, from the UPM that's just had a couple of shows under her belt to the stunt guy that's had 5 shows under his belt. It seems that this entire crew, except for maybe the lead actor and the first AD, are brand new to the business. Even Joel Souza, he's mostly a writer, and he's done one other film with guns. So it's hard to find out. It's hard to hear them judge what Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's performance was. But I do remember hearing that they found in the prop truck many rounds all over the floor, loose rounds. And when I hear the testimony that the medics saw Hannah dumping into her fanny pack from various pouches, you never mix rounds. You keep them in separate boxes. We do sometimes wear pouches. We wear pouches designated for ammunition. They're called dump pouches. So those are not uncommon on a set. But just a fanny pack, it sounds like student film trying to figure out how to do the thing. But you wouldn't put different types of ammunition in the same pouch, because that's where things get mixed up.
So Gary Mitchell, do you think Hannah Gutierrez takes the stand to explain to this jury live in person, not through the police interviews, what happened?
I think she does. I certainly would put her on if I thought she could express the fact that she was new and rather naive to this whole business, and she's just trying to please everyone. I mean, she comes across as very young, and she comes across as somebody that's going to follow the instructions of those that carry a lot more weight than she does.
And Dutch, we only have about 20 seconds left here. This was a lower budget movie. So is that, I don't want to say it's an excuse, but does that limit, like when it comes to safety, or should that be sort of a constant, big budget, small budget?
It appears to cut every possible corner, and one of the very last corners you want to cut is on your armorer, because you're dealing with gunfire. Whether it's a real round or a blank, you're dealing with gunfire. So you have a trained professional in your key position: stunt coordinator, director, armorer. Any safety position, you get a seasoned person. You don't take a chance on a key safety spot like armorer.
And like you said, Dutch, this film is about guns. It's a Western, for goodness sake. It's a Western, actually about a manslaughter case. All right, Dutch Merrick, Gary Mitchell, great to have you both with us tonight. I'm sure we'll speak again. Appreciate your time and insight tonight.